active duty service members, veterans, family members, thank you for your service. And thank you for listening to Return to Roots Mil2Vet Resource Podcast, where we document our shared experiences, stories, and transitioning and reintegrating from the military to the community. Hosted by two transitioning service members, myself, Chris Elder, and my partner in crime, Jonathan Hernandez. For more information, go to mil2vet.com. If you have little ears, ensure you listen to the content before you allow them to listen. And if you are in crisis and homelessness, suicide ideations, or incarceration, dial 211 Courage to Call for assistance. Now, stand by for the sound of freedom. In today's episode, we get to talk with transitioning service member Craig Houston, talk about his transition. Enjoy the show.
Return to Roots fam, welcome to the show. Today we will have the honor and pleasure of speaking to retiring culinary specialist senior chief Craig Houston. He is currently serving at 20 plus years in the Navy. He is retiring and will be doing real estate. He will be sharing his path. He has used the programs Veterati and ACP to allow him and help him through the transition. And he also used his YouTube fame to interview people to allow him to learn more for what he wanted to do when he grew up during his transition. Without further ado, welcome, Craig.
Yeah, man. So, like, what do you got going on, man? So, because you're doing real estate as well, too, right?
Yeah, I am doing real estate. I've been licensed since November of last year. But I mean, currently, right now I'm actually on terminal leave and basically getting the last little month I have left. I retire June 30th, so I got like a little month left. Kind of fully entrenched full time in real estate. It's a journey,
Yeah, I'm pretty similar, man. My date's July, so
Yeah, right. It's coming up fast too. Right? It comes faster than you can even expect it to. But I do think that I just kind of like try to prepare myself. But honestly, I mean, you can prepare as much as you want to, but until you actually in the middle of it, you just take it a day at a time and then figure it out as you go.
That's right. So, Craig, tell us a little bit about your story. Obviously you're still active duty, just like us. You're on terminal, as you said, and where did you get started and all that stuff?
So I'm originally from
Mm-hmm.
I got 20 years when I retire. I have 20 years, 9 months, and a couple days, like in or whatever, right? But I'm originally from Birmingham, Alabama. Born and raised in Mobile, Alabama. Well, born in Mobile, raised in Birmingham, Alabama. My parents got divorced when I was young. But I joined the Navy in 2002, right out of high school. Basically, I always knew I wanted to be a culinary specialist. I know, shout out to any of the CSs that's watching this show today or whatever. But yeah, I wanted to be a culinary specialist. And the weirdest thing, people always ask me, how did you ever determine that? And one day I went on a field trip to culinary arts in high school. And it just was like a calling, I guess. I don't know. It's really weird. Like, do I like to cook today? No. Ask my wife, she'll tell you no, right? Like, honestly, like, like would that be a thing that's in this Houston household today? Probably not, right? I do it every off occasion or whatever, but it's not really something that I do today. But day to day, it became a thing that I wanted to do, and I went through the trenches of it and kind of like learned that it's one of the processes where I came in. I think, well, all of us really and truly, coming in that early. You were saying second class is retired from the Navy, and that was something that I could not get behind. Like, and one day that thing just changed. Where it was like, yo, you can't retire as a second class. So I was like, oh snap, I gotta actually do better than most, right? You gotta be better than the norm. So I made first class really early. Made it in 5 years, and then took the 6-year path to chief and then senior chief right after that. And voila, here we are today.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
And then now you're studying for your real estate license?
No, I'm licensed. I got licensed. I passed the exam in September, and it takes in Virginia. It takes about at that point in time. I don't know how long it takes now, but in Virginia, it's about a 2-month wait to get licensed after all the paperwork and formality stuff is done. Because one of the things about a lot of people don't realize when you get into real estate is when you get your license, you can't actually practice real estate until you actually work with a broker. So you have to activate your license with a broker. And then after you get your license activated, they send it off to the state. State does the paperwork, and then they send your license back to your broker, and then boom, you get ready to work after that. So that can be a process.
Yeah, you're able to get a head start on that too by getting your license beforehand, because that's a big step, man. How you don't have that gap.
Yeah, and it was one of the things that I didn't take. I tell you what though, Chris, I didn't take in that gap part, that 1 month, 2 month gap that you may have to go through. I just happened to fall into it, and then I figured it out at the point in time. That's one things that people don't tell you. They don't really tell you that maybe you should interview brokers ahead of time. That they don't tell you that you should make sure that you're preparing yourself for a transition, because what they do now is for people who maybe be unaware, that some real estate agencies actually do skill bridge through the military. So you can actually go work at a real estate company doing your skill bridge time, and you still have to get your license. You still have to do all these things. So if you don't, be proactive and understand what the process is, you could still fall behind.
So did you do the skill bridge?
No skill bridge, all hard work and grind.
So you were doing your quote unquote 9 to 5 in the military, and then after the hours working on your license and stuff like that.
I mean, I did skip some things. So like, let's go back. Let's retrace some steps. Like in 2020 during the pandemic, I was in Romania. And when I was in Romania, President Trump came out and said, "Hey, we shutting down the borders." And just so happened my relief was in Romania already. I was due to transfer in April. So my relief was already there. So March 12th, he announced that the border shuts down. My CMC comes to me and said, "Hey, look, if you want to leave, you better leave now and get on the plane tonight, buy a ticket. We'll figure out your TAD after you get out of here. But if you don't leave, we don't know when you're going to leave." So I get on the plane, I leave, right? So I get back to the States, during COVID, moved from California to Norfolk, Virginia. So I was in San Diego. And so we sold our house and all that stuff. And really, I took up social media right after that. Like I became, I won't say a YouTube sensation, but I went all in on YouTube. So I always had something going on ever since the pandemic started, where I was always focused on what was next, what was going to be next in my life. And so I started out in the finance space, doing a lot of talk about finances. And then I realized, to better myself, to be someone who can actually be somewhat productive in the community and give back to our military family, I decided that, you could be a jack of all trades, but actually being someone who solidifies themselves in being an expert at something is better than nothing. So I decided that real estate would be where I wanted to lay my hat at first, and then it could always transition back to finance. But so I always been going after something, and I just decided that doing my 9 to 5, it was time to lock in and go to real estate, and then let everything else prosper from there.
And so since you brought it up, what is your YouTube channel?
So on YouTube right now, it's I just branded it to Moving in Norfolk. So it's surprisingly, when I went to go do my LLC, I was surprised to see that there was a Moving to Norfolk not taken anywhere. So I was like, well, we'll go Moving to Norfolk. So the reason why is because I'm branding a relocation channel, basically, where the one thing I always looked at is like, when somebody moves anywhere, how do they know what's the best thing for them? Like, especially being in the military, like one day you not have orders, then the next day you got orders, and then you got 30 days, 60 days to figure out where you're going to live, where you're going to stay, what community is best, what schools is this, all this stuff that comes up in the everyday life that we don't really take into account. And I figured, one of the best things I can do is actually make a relocation channel.
That's pretty smart.
Yeah, we'll see. It's only in the early stages of it. So I relaunched it April 12th, and I just want to give back to the community the best way I possibly can. And I figure, real estate is one thing, but giving people insight into where they may be possibly living at in the 757, especially this city. It's 7 cities, they all diverse, they're all different, they all have their pluses and minuses, pros and cons. So I figure, hey, you know, one way or the other, if it works, it don't work. But if anything, it's a catalog that's already done that I don't have to do ever again.
You know, that's pretty unique perspective. And honestly, one of the better ways to approach your field of your next career choice, you know, because you're not just trying to sell people homes, you're trying to show them like where they want to be at in the community. That's always like the hardest part is whenever you're relocating, like you said, you don't know like, hey, which Publix is going to be the best one to go to, or you know,
Right.
which school's good, or yeah, you don't want to go to this restaurant, you want to go to this restaurant over here. These small little intricacies that you only find out once you live there, so people could easily just go in there and look at that. That's a great idea, man.
You
And
know, it's not my
love that.
idea. I stole it. Obviously, every great idea is always being copied. So I mean, if you go on YouTube, it's always a whole bunch of people out there doing it. But really, even if a few people doing it in Virginia as overall, but one of the things that I realized was it don't really matter because it's my voice. It's different. It's my opinion. So I would tell anybody who's listening to this that no matter what idea you have, is that at the end of the day, your perspective, your opinion, your voice is unique, and people attract other people to a tribe. So if you think that it's already saturated, you're sadly mistaken, and you don't let that hold you back.
Yeah. So you were a CS. Well, you're still technically a CS
Right.
now, right? Right. You got about another month until your ticket's punched. Bet you can't wait, man. Bet you can't wait.
It'd be great. It'll be great one day, one of these days.
You know, I'm in a very similar boat, and it's just funny, man, because how you're going into real estate, and that's also what I'm also driving towards. And one thing that you mentioned was, you know, you started interviewing the brokers. It's not the other way around. It's not the brokers interviewing you. You got to start interviewing the people that you want to be around, because those are going to be the people that you spend the most time with. Now, just remember this, you know, like the military family, we didn't get to choose who we were with, but once we were together, you know, just like a real family, you don't get to choose who your family is. But once you're
Thanks.
together, man, it's like you're going to be spending a lot of time, a lot of energy with them. So finding out those people that are actually going to fit with you that's a great idea, man. I love that.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things I learned early on is that you know, man, I don't know. Like I know I've harped on YouTube a lot, but I'm all over social media. But YouTube is an educational planet for if you're looking for the right things. And like, it's a whole bunch of real estate agents out there who are giving perfectly fine advice on basically how to proceed as a new agent. And I just, you know, write down the tips that I need to think about. And it does make a difference when you know that you've interviewed the creme de la creme. You understand that every market is not for you, every agency is not for you, and maybe you don't need to be a big box brand agent, or you don't need to be a team agent. You got to figure that stuff out for yourself. But I mean, I think Chris, one of the things that I think about is that we are individuals in the military, but we've always been on a team. So when it comes down to it, you can do either or, but it just matters about fit. And that's what I kind of like looked at it as. I looked at it as what team and what company fits my personality and meshes with me, that's going to give me the best opportunity. I know I'm in a whole different space when it comes to using social media to lead generate. Like people do it, but you know, like to be that the only focus, like some people focus on cold calling, open houses, you know, door knocking, whatever. I look at social media as lead generation because while I'm asleep, it's finding somebody, it's looking for the person who needs me, and I don't have to go and do it because I've already done the work. So is it like, you know, building it forward right now? Yes. And then is it painful now? Probably. But at the end, I look at it on the back end of how much time is it going to give me back, because I'm in a different approach. And I needed a brand and a company who would allow for me to be that person and not, you know, be like, oh, why are you not doing this? Why are you not doing that? So that's why I think interviewing companies is more important than you going in there and thinking that you need to be applying for a job, because you're really not, because you're an entrepreneur as a real estate agent.
Yeah, you're applying like because as a real estate agent or as maybe an insurance uh, fiduciary or whatever, these 1099 jobs, you're your own company. So
Yeah.
you gotta plan it all out to where like, hey, it's really my success is based off of the people that I've surround myself. And
Thanks.
it's the same in the military too. Like, yeah, you don't get to pick your immediate work people, but the thing is you get to pick who you're going to be mentored and guided by. you know that's so important, and that's great, man. And the whole entire social media, the great thing about it is, whether you're teaching people how to um surf, or teaching people how to farm, or talking about transitioning from the military, or even talking about real estate matters. It doesn't even have to really pertain to your job. People could actually start learning who you are and start learning to trust your integrity. You know what I'm saying? Like learning who you are,
Your brand.
what you're all about. And that's the great thing about social media, and how you can actually use it to help you out. So that's some great points, man. I like that.
Yeah, so not to harp on it too much, but I will say two things, right? Two things I learned in the last year, which I know we got a whole segment on things that I learned that you can actually, apply going forward. But just in this instance, in this topic, in this conversation, two things. The first one is that last year I went to a conference, Grow with Video Live. It's basically the who's who of all social media who does it at a high level, like Gary V, Hormozy, I forgot his first name. But then you have Gary B. Hormozy, Alex Hormozy, his wife was there. Then you have the Think Media team and Gary V, right? I think I said that twice, but then Patrick Bet-David is there too. So that's what I want to get to. Patrick Bet-David basically got on stage and said, we don't think about it now, but think about it going forward. Social media is one of those things where you don't think about it, but you're pretty much making a photo album for life, right? When you really think about it, like imagine that if you can go back to the coolest grandparent, great grandparent, great aunt, uncle, whoever in your family that you never got to meet, and I wish that was social media back then, you would be able to have a catalog of the events and activities of their life where you will still be able to experience it, but even you was never there, but you still got to see how great people saw them in their own perspective and in their own life. So if you look at social media that way, look at it as a forward journaling photo album where you may not meet your great-great-grandkids, but your great-grandkids may still have a history of who you are. And that's something that you can never take away from them. It's a privilege. But then also the second thing on top of that, when it comes to a business perspective, I look at it as it's a traveling business card. Like in real estate, they always say, know, like, and trust the individual that you're going to work with. If they do know, like, and trust you, they're going to work with you and they're going to be pleasant to work with you. But they're going to vet you first, and they're going to vet you through social media, and that's your traveling business card. So if all the people who want to put all the crazy stuff on their social media, I have no qualms with you doing it, but understanding when it comes down to it, if you're in an entrepreneurial space, people are going to look at that as a traveling business card, and they're going to vet you and see if you mesh with who they really are.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And I really like where you pointed out, hey, we're leaving our legacy in this interwebs forever. So when my kids want to hear from me, they could find my videos and they could actually hear from me. In the grand scheme of things, it's no different than writing a book.
Right.
It's no different than filming a movie, writing a documentary. These are ways that we can leave our messages, and that's what's so great about podcasting and YouTubing and blogging, in my opinion. It's just a way for people to leave their mark for others.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
So that's kind of also part of the reason why we're doing this. I mean, because we want to make sure that we are able to pay the way forward for people to transition successfully, not to go down that rabbit hole of the negative mindsets and stuff like that. And it's been very, now that you mention it, it is leaving a legacy behind. It is leaving, never thought about it as a digital business card per se or anything like that. We always thought, both me and Chris thought about it as we want to make sure that we are basically reaching back to as many people as we can to help them go through the transition and bring their resources and stuff like that. And as a repository library of educational stuff for us, right? But it was really nice to hear it summarized the way that you did.
You know, like Yogi, I think when you think about this, it's like one of the things is that we as chiefs, we all get it that, you know, no matter what we can always be replaced. But the one thing that can't be replaced is the legacy that you leave behind, right? You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, when you formulate a plan and you're successful at that plan and everybody want the blueprint, if you're like, this show is great, right? Because if you think about it, you're leaving a legacy for people who don't even need this yet. Like, it's people who are entering the military tomorrow who don't need the service that you're providing today. But in 5 to 10 years, when it's, hey, when you transition it out, Return to Roots is going to be here. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to look for you. So and people are going to suggest it. I'm going to suggest it. So when that happens, your legacy that you're leaving and fostering today is going to be impactful on stages that you're not even thinking about right now. And I think that's what people have to realize. Like, everyone should be an entrepreneur, even if you have a 9-to-5 job, because at the end of the day, you can do something that somebody else can't do as well, and you're just not harnessing the activity to get where you want to go.
Yeah, we all have a ability. The problem is we all tell ourselves that we don't belong in that space. But the thing is nobody really belongs in that space. So you just need to go in there and just start wrecking it over and over and over again until you start, oh, okay, look, I'm finally forming something up here that resembles something. And you just keep going at it and keep going at it and keep going at it. And eventually, like, you may end up becoming one of the greats, but you can't start being great unless you just start doing something.
Yeah, you got to be okay to start trashful. Like, I mean, you got to start as trash, and then as you get better, if you get 1% better off trash, you're already on the street curve at that point in time, right? So, like, you just keep on looking at it, you'll wind up getting to a point where people don't ever want to throw you away. So, like, I mean, I realized early in life that I had the gift for the gab. I could talk 100 miles an hour. I'm highly energetic. I know that I have a business mindset. And it just took me a long time to harness all of that together into something that made sense. And I think I'm almost there, really and truly. Like, am I on what's the joint, the New York $1 million listing? I'm not on that yet, or anything that's, or ever maybe, but just being who I am and embracing who I am is what matters the most. And that's going to leave an impact on people. And that's what people need to realize.
So what resources have you used to help you transition?
Wow. So that's a great question. I actually had the Craig Houston podcast at one point in time in life last year was the activity that I used to transition. I actually at one point in time in between this phase that I was going through, like trying to figure out what I really wanted to do post-military career, I decided the best thing to do was use my podcast, use my voice to bring other people on my show and have conversations that are centered around transitioning, centered around just understanding the job hunting, things of this nature, understanding what it looked like. So I kind of used my own platform to bring people onto my platform to give me advice while giving the world advice at the same time. So I use my own resources.
That's sometimes helping others and documenting stuff actually does really help you out. And I had a similar journey when I was doing another podcast, Chart Your Fi. And that's where I kind of started talking about finances at first. And then I started bringing on people. And then Yogi and I met in San Diego. We were both in Japan. We knew each other there, but then we met up in San Diego. I'm like, bro, let's start this. Like, let's do a podcast on this. And he's like, yeah, we should totally do a podcast on this. We were just sitting there in the kitchen talking about all these things that we got to do. Sorry about that.
Bless you by that, by the way. No, I think that's great. And here's the thing, like, I wish I would have met y'all last year because we could have made it as a three-peat. You know, like we could have all.
Dude, that would have been dope.
You know, I always knew Chris, but I mean, this would have been dope for us to always have a show like this. But I think that it's I will to answer the question though. I did use the platform as my own way of getting assistance to understand things. But I will tell you, two things really made an impact on my life during this last year. And people write these down if you're listening to this, because I think this is going to be one of the things helpful for anybody transitioning out of any branch of the military. The first one is American Corporate Partners. Okay. They was the first guest on my show. They actually, if you don't know what that is, for those who are listening, American Corporate Partners, they basically, when you got your last year left in the military, you can go to them and say, hey, I need a mentor. And they will assign a mentor from a Fortune 500 business to you, and no matter what the field is, as long as it's the field that you want to be in or the field that you think that you want to successfully do. And this mentor will be with you for a whole year, and y'all will have at least one meeting a month mandatory session. Okay. And I think that was impactful to me. My mentor from ACP still is Brian Mesker. He's an ESPN studio director. Okay. I was in my YouTube.
Fancy.
Yeah, I was in my YouTube phase. So they gave me a studio director who could help me, you know, understand video more, understand what I want to do from a production standpoint, things of this nature. He's been insightful, helpful, hard on me at times. The studio here, like this studio was not here before because I was actually living in another house at that point. So I was living in base house, and then I knew I was transferring, so it was time to move. But the thing was, Brian helped me understand how to get better at video from a legacy standpoint, and it has been a game changer for me. The impact of the results hasn't shown up yet because I rebranded the channel, but I know the successful things that I've seen from it has been great for me to learn from that type of individual with that high creativity level and able to give advice on things that I don't even take into consideration, like lighting, coloring, you know, things of that nature, just angles of cameras and how to push in, push out, things that people who don't do video all the time understand. So that's
let me ask. So before you get too sidetracked on that, let me ask you this: why seek a mentor? I mean, you kind of mentioned it, but why specifically? Because
that's a great question. That's a great question. No, I understand the question. That's great to ask for feedback on that, because here's the thing. We've done, especially if you retire, you've done a job, even if you don't retire, you do 5 years. 5 years of one thing, of a craft that you've been doing, it can make you brainwashed that that's all you know. When realistically, it's not all you know. You know so many things, but you just push a lot of them to the side because that's not the priority at the time. So for me, when it came down to it, I knew I was almost like, hey, I can do this video thing. I can do this podcasting thing. I can do interviews. I can do all that. But you still need someone to give you that business mentality. Like, say I would have applied for a job at ESPN. Would I have gotten in the door? Probably not, because I wouldn't understand, hey, maybe you need to have a voice cadence like this. Maybe you need to be have rhythm like this when you're going through things. And having a mentor who's able to span things that you're not even considering gives you a perspective where you are like seeing it from a whole different lens as someone who's already successful at that level, you know. And how many people can wake up one day? Okay, let me see if I can break it down like this. How many people can walk into, let's call it McDonald's today, okay? Let's call it McDonald's. How many people can walk into McDonald's and meet the CEO and get that CEO to work with you for 12 months on whatever you need for 12 months? They're gonna be like, no, I'm too busy for that. Go find some assistant store manager somewhere to go deal with that, right? Or unless they're an undercover boss, you know, maybe. But literally, you get to wake up and you can get a mentor. Like one of one of the guys that I interviewed, the senior VP of ACP at the time. Now he's like the CEO now, I think, or the president. But Richard told me, and one guy didn't know what he wanted to do, but all he knew was that he loved baseball. That's all he knew. They got him a mentor with the New York Yankees. Guess what that guy does now? He's like some front office guy with the New York Yankees. You know, so you don't even really know what it is that you're looking for, but you don't know what these successful mentors can actually help you open doors and pathways to. So if you're getting out the military, you don't know what you want to do, having that pathway available to you is something that I would never exclude myself from.
There's this brings up to mind the saying, right? It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Facts.
Kind of thing.
Facts.
And it's not who you know, it's how you made them feel when you did meet them.
That's even better. That's even better. That's even better. Yeah, you're right about that. The first contact is always the best contact.
Yeah. And you know, my mentor from ACP, Raul, he's been helping me out as well. And he's also in the media side of things too. So it's been really great, you know, the mentorship aspect. And Richard Cummins was one of our episodes that just recently released. His episode's great, and that guy's an amazing dude.
Yeah, he is. He's great. It's amazing the circle that he's building and the team that he's got around him to help him support that cause. And so before I get sidetracked, because I know I said I had two things, right? Because we was on two. Veterati, okay, this is another one. It's another mentorship program. It's one of the ones where basically you have a LinkedIn profile and you basically can go in there, register, and you can meet all of these people who have these experiences with transitioning and everything above that too. You can meet with them by phone call. This is not on video or anything of that sort. Like the ACP meetings are typically by video. I don't know. I think yours is by video too as well, Chris. So like when you have those meetings, they are video, but on Veterati, this is all phone call. This is basically, it goes into $1, it connects you to, and y'all have a conversation. The first person I met with on Veterati is Keith Kasant. I never forget this because I wrote the guy a thank you letter after I got established in real estate. But I met Keith. He didn't know me from Adam, and he basically gave me a blueprint on how to walk through my disability claim, gave me a blueprint on how to transition out of the military, gave me a blueprint on what to look for when applying for jobs if you're going to apply for one. Understood I wanted to merge my YouTube channel and my real estate priorities together, and he didn't like say that's crazy. He didn't say no, that's dumb. He's like, that's actually interesting, and that's probably something that you really can do that is different than everybody else. I know a guy. You want me to introduce you to him? And I was like, yeah. So he introduced me to another guy named Joe Camarda, and Joe wound up being a 30-year sergeant major in the Army. Him and Keith worked together. Joe went into real estate, and Joe told me where to apply for school at, how to get my license, and hey, if you need an introduction to my broker, I give you an introduction to my broker. And I'm talking about this happened within a week of actually applying to Veterati, booking the call, having the call, reaching out to Keith, reaching out to Joe. I was in class in July. I finished the class in September, took my license exam at the end of September, and me and Joe work at the same broker now. Like just that fast. And Joe is like, I'm not trying to like, brag about it, but Joe like has been a mentor to me, but Joe is like top 1% real estate agent in Virginia.
Bro, that's badass, man. So the Veterati, they hook you up with this guy. So do you just hang out with this particular guy, or do they pretty much go, okay, well, we also got another one too?
Man, it's a pool. You can go in there and select whoever you want to. Yeah, you can select whoever you want to, and you can go in there as many times as you want to. It's not like a one-off thing or anything of that sort. It's literally, if you want to have a conversation with a person, you go in there. If that person's schedule is available to have a conversation, they will book a conversation with you, and they will talk to you about whatever it is that you want to talk about. And I think that is powerful because you have so many questions in your mind that, hey, all three of us can know things, but we pull our head together, we may come up with an answer. But when you can find somebody who has more experience in that field in helping people, they give you advice, and you could bring that advice back and say, well, damn, my eyes are open again. You know, it's something I wasn't even thinking about.
So it baffles me that I've heard about Veterati for at least for I would say the last 8 months, and I've yet to try it.
You need to.
You right now have pushed me over that cliff, and I'm like, I'm behind the power curve because that's something that I should have already tried a long time ago.
It's free, and you get to use it as many times as you want to, as long as somebody on the other end wants to connect to book the conversation. That's all it is. And it's people who are just willing to help other service members all day long.
It's so amazing how many resources are out there that are free that people just don't know about. You know, ACP, phenomenal group. They have a great following, and you could be at any point in time, and they'll actually assign you a mentor. Even if you've used them before, they'll be like, "Oh, you want to change your career? Well, we'll hook you up with a new mentor.
Yeah,
not a problem."
They booked me a different call with a commercial real estate agent, even though I had Brian as my mentor and they knew I was going into real estate. They were like, yeah, you want a one-off meeting with a real estate agent? We'll hook that up too. It's crazy.
Yeah. And then that one-off ends up being a freaking phenomenal relationship that you have for the rest of your life. Man, it's just crazy. There's just so many opportunities, and a lot of people don't know about this stuff until they get out or they never find out about it.
Yeah, so that was the challenge I had doing my show, during my time.
You know, everybody thinks that TAPS is the end all be all for their stuff, man. And it's just so frustrating because TAPS and TRS is not the answer. These government mandated classes for us to transition out of the military are not the answer, because yes, they give you all the required information and they put the little check in the box because you attended and it was congressionally mandated. You know, now they could look at themselves and say, oh, you know, hey, we gave them the information. I don't know why they're homeless or incarcerated or, you know, suicide rates are high. Well, I'll tell you why. It's because look at the trend. Most people don't even go through it until at the 12-month mark. And that's, I'm telling you, if you look at the numbers, you pull it up, you're like 3 months and before, it's outrageously high. That's when people first go to TAPS. And these are numbers pulled straight up from the military. And it's just crazy. People aren't going to their transition classes until the last minute, and they don't find out about these other resources until they're already in crisis, man.
Right.
Oh, man. Just so frustrating. It's so frustrating.
Just to clarify to our audience, right? What Chris meant is people wait until the last 3 months before they get out. And that's when they start going into their transition phase, going to the TAP class and everything. Everyone should be starting their transition at least at a bare minimum 2 years out. And that way, so you have enough time to figure out, to go through that crisis of, I don't know what I'm going to do when I grow up, to actually come up with a plan, to actually look at everything and have enough time to not stress out. Instead, you know, if you only do 5 years or 4 years, right, one term, you should basically, if your mindset is to get out after your first enlistment, you should start looking at your transition basically as you're coming in, right? And that way you're prepared, right? And I personally, I've never hated on anyone that told me, hey, Chief, I'm only doing 1 year and I'm getting out. Perfect. How can I help you? The only thing I care about is you having a plan that you can execute.
I hated
on them.
I hated
on them.
I hated on them. I hated on them, and I'm not a lifer. Okay, I just wind up being a lifer. So like there's a difference. I never had the intent of ever being a 20-year bid. I never had that idea. It just always snuck up on me, and I never had a plan. So I understand when somebody says I want to get out tomorrow, but you don't have a plan. Like like you can say you have a plan all day long till you blew it in the face, but realistically, when you go back through it, you don't have a plan. You don't even understand what you don't know. And for you to be so crisp in trying to do it right away. It's the reactionary stuff that happens that makes you feel that way when you really take a look back and step back from, you're like, it's really not that bad. It's really not. But I do need to come up with a plan. So when it do feel that bad, I'm not going back. That's what happened to me. Like, I thought I was going to wind up at one point in time, like maybe I had like this little inkling I'll do 30 years. But then when I sat back and looked at 18, I was like, I don't really need this job anymore. Like so let me put things in place right now during this period and go forward. You know, like, yeah, I think you need to have a plan. So I always hated on them because I knew they never had a plan.
You know, I used to always tell everybody, plan. You need to have a plan. Plan to stay in, plan to get out. But you better have a plan, because one day you're going to find yourself in a situation where you didn't plan for something, and that's your own fault. Your failure is your failure to actually think about it and list down all the things that you want to do, get a solid plan. And I have all these people that they always make fun of me. All my junior guys, they always be like, "Oh, here goes chief," or "Here goes senior. He's going to talk about the roadmap." And I would always tell people, I'm like, "How do you get to a destination, man? How are you going to plan a trip? Are you going to just hop in the car and drive to somewhere you've never been before? No, you're going to pull up your GPS, man. You're going to set some waypoints. You're going to be like, oh, shoot, I'm about to run out of gas. Well, where's the nearest gas? You know, hey, you could wait for the sign, or you could plan it out. Either way, if you don't plan out all these things and all these pit stops and all that stuff in your journey, man, you're just going to be living life in a way that you're not going to find success right away. You know, hey, and there's something to, and you could ask my wife. I'm like late all the time. I'm like the worst person whenever it comes to being on time. I'll tell you that. But
I agree.
Shut up. Hey, no one asked any comments from the peanut gallery, but it's crazy because I'm a planner, but my wife does all the vacation planning. My wife does all this stuff. So you got to learn how to work with your significant other. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a long-term planner. She's our short-term planner. And then we talk together about our plans and we work together. You know, if you're in a relationship, that's the best way to do it, in my opinion. And working as a team towards the end goal. So, but yeah, anyways, back to it, have a plan to stay in, have a plan to get out. I tell all my sailors that.
Yeah, I'm always gonna be a hater.
One thing that I want to add, and part of the reason why I brought up the whole start planning right after you joined, right? Because you never know what's going to happen. And I was a lifer. Luckily, right, I made it to my 18, 19 year without getting hurt, right? But now, from the 18 year till now, I'm at 21 right now, right? But I've been going through this whole medical process and everything. And when I got to, when I got to 15, I was like, of course, boom, I'm on track, good to go. When I picked up Chief in 2018, I was like, I can do 25. I love it. I can keep on going. Easy day, 25. And being in Japan, you're on track to pick up 8, right? Easily, whatever. So I was like, I can easily do 29 or 30. Put in a waiver. They need people right now. Boom, easy day, right? And then everything just happened and my career was cut short. And now, luckily, I had an original plan to get out at 20, but it has changed so much. And it was difficult, even with all the plans that I've had in my life, to get out and transition out after my 20-year mark, right? Now, if I would have been and I would have had no plans, oh my God, bro, like I would have lit my hair on fire, cried, and who knows what else would have happened. And I bring this up because I see so many people right now that are going through the medical board process, junior sailors, junior Marines, and everyone. that goes through that process, and they're in pain, they're lost, they're some of the commands, they just drop them like a hot potato, and now you're alienated. So you have everything that is meant to, and then you get sent away from where you were at to a different place, and now you're just the broken person that showed up, and now that's your label, right? So everything that was good for you now is no longer good for you. So you just go down this horrible downward spiral. Your identity is ripped, your self-confidence is ripped, and everything. And it's just insane. I don't even know why I went down this rabbit hole right now, except the whole um planning helps, is good, but if you don't do it, it's gonna bite you in the butt.
My favorite saying to my sailors, and then I'll turn it back over to y'all. Y'all talk about what y'all want to talk about, and I'm good to go. But my favorite saying is to my sailors or to anybody that I meet in life now is if you stay ready, you never have to get ready. And like that to me signifies basically, hey, like preparation is always key, but if you prepare like it's going to happen no matter what, and then if things change, you still are always prepared because you was already ready to go no matter what. So to me, stay ready. If you stay ready, you never have to get ready. And to me, that's just one of the things that I try to live by and proceed with each and every day, because like I said, you never know, like things happen. And when they happen, you got to be ready to execute your backup plan. And that's what preparation is always key.
Yeah, man. And that what Yogi's talking about, it happens. And it also you could find yourself in a situation where you just need to change your career because it just makes sense for you. So even after you get out and stuff like that, learning how to survive and acquire new skills and acquire new assets. You know what I'm saying? That's something that we're very good at in the military, because I don't know about you, man, but my job changed. Like it seemed like every 6 months I had a new job. I didn't like my job today. Don't worry, in 6 months it'll be different.
I'm not going to even go there with you because yes, that happens every day of the week, especially senior leadership. But I definitely understand the perspective from a military standpoint, man. I do understand that completely. From a business standpoint, it changes every day too. Because one day you're an administrative assistant, one day you're your CEO, one day that you're your accountant, the next day you're out the practitioner of the business, and then you the marketer of your business, you the brand ambassador of your business. It's so many things, man. Like it's, to me, I think it's better because I don't know, entrepreneurship to me is better in any sense of the form because it's you. Like when people validate who you are, and I'm not saying that from you need validation. I'm just saying when somebody says like, hey, I know a real estate agent who can help you sell your house. His name is Craig. You need to give him a call. Or I'm gonna give him your number and he's gonna call you. Like to me, that's valid. Like that shows that people believe that, not only am I a great person, I hope, but at the same time, I'm a great like, so that's why I look at it. I get so much more passion out of it. Like, don't get me wrong. I gave the military the time that I gave it because I cared to give it that time. And I will say this one thing, if I can leave anybody with anything, when you know it's time to go, it's time to go. Don't wait, because if you do wait, you're going to start regretting decisions that you're making or things that's impacting your life each and every day. So when you know that you're prepared to go, walk away. Honestly, and whether that's 4 years, 12 years, 20 years, whatever that time frame is for you, just look at it and say, you know what, it was a good run, and if you can't reinvigorate yourself, it's time to go. And to me, like I look at it like, like I get more passion out of that. I get passion out of people, feeling that, I'm a contribution to their success story, and that's what I like. So serving people is continuing to do the same thing I was already doing. And I think real estate is just another branch of servicing people and helping them at a better level.
I love it, man. So the process of getting out, how, like, how has it been for your family?
Great question. I don't know, honestly. Like, they don't talk about it. Like, they don't really talk about it, man. Like, I spend more time at the house. I do spend more time at the house, but I'm also a real estate agent, so I am my own business. So I am actually busy, like from I will tell you. So here's my routine, right? So let's just talk about my routine a little bit. And people are gonna probably like, this dude is wild for this one, right? So Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, I will go out and I will film video from 9 to 11, right? And then I come home on Saturday or Sunday and edit all 3 videos. So now I don't know if y'all edit your own videos or what, but I don't have a video editor yet. Maybe one day when I make enough money in real estate, maybe I buy a video editor to hire one to help me out. But so that takes about 6 hours of my life on a Saturday or a Sunday, maybe 3 hours a piece on each one of those days. But realistically, I do 3 hours of video recording throughout the week, because each one of those videos take me about an hour to record. Then and then I have trainings. Then I have either appointments or I have clients I need to go check on to make sure that their house is moving forward to list, or I'm at an open house. So I do have a busy schedule, and I do have to realize, and this is my advice to people: if you're transitioning, build a schedule and time block. Right? I've tried. I'm getting better at time blocking every week. So I definitively don't set appointments outside of my appointment windows. I definitively don't record video if it's outside my recording window. Or if I have to move things around, it still has to fall within those time ranges, because if I move anything around, I look at it as, I'm saying this is I really almost have like a what is it called? It's called a non-negotiable. Like, these are the times that you cannot mess with me at these times, because if I don't do this, I'm not going to generate income. So I had to build those things into my life. So what I say, what my family feel like, they probably feel like, man, dad still Sea Chief mode, but he just doing it in real estate. But I mean, the checks is different. I mean, like, I mean, at the end of the day, the checks are different. I mean, like, now you can sell a house, and if you're a junior sailor and you're talking about selling the house, and you sell a house and you help a client make the biggest impactful deal of their life, I mean, you can possibly make Master Chief money without having to do Master Chief work, or more. It just depends on the price point. So, I mean, the income is different. So I do spend a little bit more time at the house. I'm getting better at that, and I'm time blocking all that stuff so I can get better at it,
Yeah, I'm pretty adamant about time blocking as well. Yeah, time blocking.
Woo!
Yogi's over there shaking his head for everybody that can't see, but it's like, it's crazy because even with this thing, we dedicate, a certain time, 2 times a week, and you just have to be really rigid about when you do it. But also, like, scheduling time for family, scheduling time for all that. Bro, I'm so glad you pointed that out, man, because
Yeah, but it's not even just time blocking, though. You have to make it non-negotiables. Like, if it's not enough, if it breaks your routine, you got to think at it. I think about it like this. I think about what's my income generating revenue, and then what's my time spending revenue. Like, so, like, people wake up and they have this plan every day, I'm going to go do this, but then some type of activity changes the whole schedule for that day. So you have to kind of almost like, no matter what, I got to do this. And if I'm going to do this, I have to make sure I have to stress the importance of why I have to do it. Like, right now, like, I get deer in the headlight looks every time I tell somebody I'm going to record a neighborhood tour video. People would look at me like, why are you recording neighborhoods? So in my mind, I know the reason why, but other people don't look at it. So I look at it and for just a brief overview, right? Like I said, in the business world that I'm in now, either you're door knocking, you're cold calling, you're open housing, you're coming up with some type of content, some type of contact. I'm non-negotiating that time frame, because if 9 to 11, if I was doing any one of those other activities, I would still have to time block those activities. So to me, that's a non-negotiable. Monday through Friday, I have to get 3 videos done somewhere in that middle of the week, because I have to front load these and batch them to get them out on a reasonable schedule that keeps the algorithm, generating. Like, content creators, algorithms is our friend. So yeah, it's non-negotiable. So I have to realize that I'm always on non-negotiable time.
I want to share with you before we go any further. This thing is called the Finisher's Journal. I don't know if you've heard about it or not, but it's talking about time blocking, right? You have every day of the week, and then it holds yourself accountable for it, right? So this is let's say Saturday, right? You write down what are your most important tasks, what your secondary task is, and anything extra, and then you have your time block on any one of those, right? And then it gives you um, the weekly report, commitment, must do's. Did you accomplish your task? Did you do everything?
I like the idea of it. I don't know if I would use one of those. I think I would get. I have like multiple of these, like, right? I have like books all over the place, and but I get I'm with you. I like the concept of it. Is to me, like, Chris, you have one of those, right?
So I do my own style,
Okay.
like check marks, and it's full of like pictures and stuff like that. Like, but I keep crap loads of journals, man. Like, I'm not going to show you guys my inside, but
but what I do, I every Sunday I pull my laptop out and I go on my MacBook and I pull my calendar up because I'm an iPhone user, and I time block all for the whole week. And when that thing goes off, that's where I'm at. Like, so here's the thing, because I got into real estate at this point in time in life, but next year my goal is to book my vacations a year out. So I know when my vacations are, any conferences that I'm going to go to, have those already pre-planned, and then build from there down, you know what I mean? From a month standpoint, a quarter standpoint, a month standpoint, then a week standpoint, each and every, and then daily activity. So to me, I'm generating those activities now to build out a yearly calendar plan starting like at the end of November. I have going into next year what my plan looks like for the whole year. So that way, like, I always know what my life looks like. And like I said, all that stuff that goes in that calendar becomes non-negotiable.
oh yeah, man. And you were talking about the time that you need to make money, right? To support your family. But I'm also looking at the time that I need to fill my emotional piggy bank with my children, with my wife. Those are just as equally important.
I
And
totally agree.
you need to block those times off to uh, be involved in football, uh, go to the gymnastics meets, know exactly whenever the fun runs are for the kids' school, so maybe you can make a guest appearance while they're out there on the track. Like doing those little things, and then also time blocking this all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think when you look at it like that, I think about one of the things that I find important in that situation is to just make sure that even if you have that, that's why I say scheduling it and saying, hey, this app, like my phone goes off at 6:30, 7 o'clock downtime. I don't do anything. Like I had to make an adjustment to my calendar just to do this. When I realized what time it was, I was like, oh man, this podcast is after my downtime. So, but I mean, after that, like really and truly, you got to make adjustments to the things that matter to you. And to me, that really is impactful. You're right. It is, family is important, and just understanding, what you got to do for them and how you got to be there for them from an emotional standpoint is great. But what I will say too, one of the things that I've looked at during my transit, I've been doing this for a while, but during my transition into is like your own mental health, your own physical health, and your own spiritual health, right? You have to kind of like time block for that too. So like sometimes you negate that stuff and then that starts to compound yourself. So if you don't, have those things figured out, you may want to figure those out too, because those are important and they can become important.
Oh yeah, man. Like right now, my daughter and I, she's 7 years old. My daughter and I wake up every morning at 5:30 since I've been home, and we're doing yoga together.
Oh wow. I know my
Yeah.
kids getting up at 5:30.
Yeah, my son's like, nah, you guys could have that.
Yeah.
But,
How old is your son?
My son's 8.
Oh yeah, he know better. See, like I got a 20-year-old, a 14-year-old, a 12-year-old. Ain't none of them getting up at 5:30 in the morning for nobody.
Yeah, and it's really actually like it's cool because I don't know how long this is gonna last with my daughter, but right now I'm cherishing it because not only am I getting a good yoga, good workout in, but I'm also getting some time with the little one that she's always gonna remember, hey, stretch time with daddy,
Right, facts. That's big. You're right about that. That's awesome.
So, I think we should move over to the save rounds and alibis.
Let's
Anybody
get
else
it.
have anything else before we go into there? All right, let's go into the final round. All right, bro. The books and podcasts. Do you have any books or podcasts that's really helped you out in your journey?
So in the journey of transitioning, right? That's what we're talking about.
Brother, it could be your journey, man. Your
Oh,
journey.
cool. Well, I mean, if it's so podcasts that I used to listen to, I don't really listen to it as much more because I'm gonna tell you a reason why now is I used to listen to the Dave Ramsey podcast. That was very helpful, especially in my early military career, because I felt like, financially being financially healthy is important to your mental health and your family's lifestyle going forward. So Dave Ramsey podcast, still a plus. From a content creation standpoint, from a social media creator, Think Media podcast is awesome. That's from the Think Media team on YouTube. I use that podcast to kind of like stay up on activities that I can use for building a podcast, building a brand, building marketing. Everything you do pretty much, no matter what job you have, is marketing at this point in time. So that helped. And then at one point in time, I used to listen to, I don't know what his podcast is actually called, but so I'm going to say the Brandon Mulrenning podcast. He's a real estate agent. He's a top real estate agent in Michigan, Detroit area to be exact. He has a podcast where he has a for sale by owner program where he's made famous, but he's actually just a top-notch agent all around. Now, here's the thing why I say I don't listen to podcasts that much more now. I'm a big Clubhouse fan at this point in time. Okay. Y'all know about Clubhouse? Maybe I'm talking over y'all head. So if y'all both on iPhones, so you have access to Clubhouse. Clubhouse is I don't know if it's still only exclusive to Apple. It may be, but it may be on Android now too. But it's still at one point in time was exclusive only to Apple users. Okay. And Clubhouse, I use it for social media from it's a group called Real Estate All Day. And basically they're top agents. I ain't gonna say top agents, they're just real estate agents from across the world. And some of the top agents, yeah, that's it right there. Some of the top agents in the world are in this group. And I would just name a few right off the top of my head. Anthony Glenn and Andy C. There's others as well, but these agents sit in this group and they talk all day long for 2 hours in the morning, 1 hour at night. And so imagine looking for mentorship in real estate, and you don't need to fire mentorship because you get mentorship from these people who are just talking about their experiences and what they go through each and every day. And you can jump in on the stage and have a conversation, ask a question. And to me, that's more impactful to me. So like podcasts, they're informational based, but Clubhouse is, it's a receive and give type of organization, which I love the platform that Clubhouse provides for the real estate agents in that Real Estate All Day group. So that's why I don't really have time for podcasts anymore. But now when I'm riding in my car, audiobook, right now I'm on Sold right now, and I just got finished with let me go to my audiobooks that I'm on right now. My audiobooks, it shows that I just finished Big Money Energy by Ryan Serhant. I recommend. Sold is by David M. Green. And for anybody who does social media, Hook Point by Brendan Kane.
Well, now that we got that out of the way, and that was amazing. By the way, I downloaded the app already, so I will
Yeah, I
explore it
just downloaded
afterwards.
it too. I'm right here, like picking all my stuff.
It's a fire hose. It's a fire. I only use it from 6 to. I use it from 7 to 9. Now they just announced they're going from 6 to 7 and 7 to 9, and then I listen to it in the evening from 6 to 7. I don't use it after that. If I use it, that thing is a fire hose. Like you could turn it on and you could be down a rabbit hole for ages. So only use it sparingly.
So I want to ask you 3 questions.
Okay.
What advice would you give yourself before you join the military? What advice would you give yourself about getting out of the military? And would you give yourself any advice? You haven't transitioned out yet, so what advice would you have given yourself through your military career?
Okay, you're going to have to repeat these questions, but I'm going to start with the first because I remember that one directly. Well, what would you tell yourself before entering the military, right?
Before entering the military, yes.
Have a 5-year plan and readjust it every year. I honestly believe that I should not have done more than 5 years in the military. This is my opinion, right? The reason why is because honestly, let's be real. Like all 3 of us are old. I ain't calling us old like dirt, but I mean, we all came in with cell phones. They didn't even have a camera on it. You know what I mean? Like, so if you think about the progression of electronics and things of this nature, this is some things that I always had a passion for. I just laid dormant the passion because people always act like those was bad tools to have, right? And so if I were to just go back and say have a 5-year plan and always readjust it, is because you will see life evolving and you are able to evolve with life versus being kind of stagnant and then trying to catch back up. Like, so to me, always have a 5-year plan and readjust it. What's the second one again?
What advice would you give yourself as you're transitioning through the military?
Man, so many gems. Your net worth is your net worth. That's what be it. And the reason why I say that is because if every business professional who has been successful in life, in my opinion, Elon Musk, you take Jeff Bezos, you take any one of them, they built their empire by relationships. And to me, having a network to grow beyond, everybody always says, if you look around if you hang around the same 5 individuals all the time and you're better than them, you're not growing. And honestly, I think that's fair, but honestly, you got to look at it on a bigger level than that. Are those same 5 people going to help propel you to another level to make it to the next level? So to me, it's always got to be like, look around your circle and understand that your network is going to equal your net worth. So if you're hanging with people who just want to go to the club and party all day, then you're going to be at the club partying all day. If you want to be with business-minded professionals who are going to, always look to find the next top dollar in income, you're going to be seeking out that same type of information. So just understand network equals net worth.
And just so translated into the military terms, you would say that if you want to continue growing, don't just hang around the people that are going to drag you down, but also find people that are willing to succeed with you. So that
your chief is not your friend. If you're a junior sailor, your chief is not your friend, and chiefs should not be junior sailors' friends, but they should be mentors and people who are able to guide them to understand what life should be about, right? Like, I look at it, every sailor I came in contact with, or every junior personnel I came in contact with, I always made sure they understood, hey, these are the mistakes I made. I don't want to see you make those same mistakes. And if I can help you, get past those speed bumps really quick, you could be in a different level than anybody else could ever think about and has not even seen or, experienced. But you just got to realize you got to set that tone immediately. But still, yeah, those people should be part of your network and then turn into net worth, because if you're doing a job that you're supposed to be doing and they're pouring into your life as they should be on a professional level to help you grow personally and professionally, then that's going to equal more net worth. Yeah.
Then, so where do you? You already answered it.
What's number 3?
All right.
I said you already answered it.
Okay. Gotcha.
You're
okay.
good,
Okay.
man.
Okay,
you're
cool.
Good. You got it.
Got it.
You like nailed that. so many different ways. They're going to be writing stories about how you just nailed it, bro.
No, they're not. They're not going to be doing any of those things. They're going to be like, tell that dude to shut up from the back.
I like it. I'm your chief. I'm not your friend.
Oh man, you may grow into my friend, but you're gonna have to start out on the outside, player.
Here's the circle. You're over here. Circle. You're over here.
Oh man.
So when you were transitioning out of the military, how did you get into the transitioning mindset?
Man, that is honestly, I don't even know. Like, let me think about that one. I mean, realistically, that happens. You start to feel a sense of urgency. Like, I think here's the problem. Here's the problem with transitioning. It's not the person who's transitioning. It's the command who's losing the person that's transitioning, right? Honestly, I think that the person who's transitioning knows that they're going through it. They're feeling it. They understand the things that they have to do, and there's timelines that needs to be done. But commands, I think, in my opinion, are not unaware, but they are oblivious to the timelines. They don't care because they don't impact them until they know that you're getting ready to walk out the door. So to me, I think that I always knew I was transitioning. Like, I think once I released the first YouTube video, I said, oh yeah, I'm getting out the Navy. Like, that's how I felt, right? So for me, I think I always knew, but I don't think my command realized I was leaving until they started seeing those leave checks come across their desk. And I was like, yeah, I'm not playing no games with y'all, so I'm out of here. And but I do think that I think even before I hit taps, I think I knew I was leaving, and that was my thing. So
I love that, man. And side note, on Clubhouse, we just created the Return to Roots Mil2Vet. Everybody check us out. I just added you onto there too.
I saw that. And after we finish this, I have comments about that. That's awesome, though. That quick, y'all have already established a platform on Clubhouse. Y'all, wow.
Before we get too far and say goodbyes, I wanted to ask you something. Why rebrand your YouTube channel and not keep that one there and start a new one? Why rebrand?
I went back and forth with that for a long time. Honestly, because I didn't know which was better. I've always heard people say, if you're going to start something new, just start over. But I looked at it as I already built an empire. I ain't gonna say empire, because when I say empire, I'm making it sound like I made tens and $20,000s of dollars on YouTube. I only made probably in tax income last year like $2,000, okay, off YouTube. So let's not act like it's a big empire anyway. I only have like 1,300 subscribers on there. But the one thing that I realized about it was that the Google algorithm for YouTube will weed out the people who don't need to be there. That's how I look at it. So the subscriber base is what I look at it as. I looked at it was a relocation branded type of platform for me. So I looked at it as, who knows, if I was to not delete, but if I was to start a new channel, I'll be starting over from scratch. But I'm releasing videos to people who may know somebody who's going to move to Virginia. So it's not even about the individual who's subscribed to the channel now. It's about the individual who they may know may show up in Virginia or need assistance with living in Virginia. And hey, I know a guy on YouTube who does neighborhood tours. You may want to call him. And so I just looked at it as it was easier to, let the people who don't want to be there unsubscribe, and the people who do want to be there, they'll stay and they'll watch the videos.
I love that, man. That's like some next level stuff right there, man. Honestly.
I mean, we could always talk about social media anytime. If y'all want to have me back, y'all want to talk about social media, y'all invite me back. I'll come over here and we'll talk about social media. I love the conversation.
Yeah. Well, we'll have another conversation also once you actually go through the transition, once your taps is done, once everything is done, and then, catch up, and also to see if you see things from a different perspective. You know what I mean?
Right. So, yeah, for sure. That'd be awesome.
I mean, you're always going to be a welcome guest going forward. So don't be astray, as they say.
I'm gonna jump in the clubhouse whenever it's jumping. I'm gonna have to come in there and see what's going on.
I'm setting it up, man. I'm linking my Instagram, my Facebook. I'm linking everything up. It's gonna be like a symbiotic little thing going on.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a mastermind over there.
Hey, other than Clubhouse, man, how can our listeners get a hold of you, man, or view your content?
So typically you can find me. So if you're looking for me on YouTube, it's Moving to Norfolk, Virginia. That's the YouTube channel and handle. But if it's on social media outside of YouTube, I am Craig Houston is the best way to contact me. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. That's the same username, and all my other contact information. If you want to call me about anything or email me, text. If you literally want to move to Virginia, book a video call. I think those are the best things to do because that means we get to build that rapport early on and we can do business together. But I'm always here to answer any questions about anything going on in Hampton Roads.
Love it, man.
Perfect.
I love it.
Well, Craig, I want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for giving us your time, your wisdom, sharing this time and space with you, your knowledge. And obviously, like I mentioned before, you're going to be a welcome guest in the show. And, you know, if Chris allows it, we'll just leave it at that. He'll invite you to be part of the Facebook group and, you know, as one of the experts and going forward, because that's also will be me and Chris cannot cover the entire United States or the entire world. That will be entirely blasphemous and stupid or to think about that, right? We need people like you. And you are clearly building your path to be in Virginia, stay in Virginia, and go forth and conquer. So, you know, that would be an absolutely great resource to be that. But honestly, thank you.
Y'all have a great platform, man. I like I said before, I said at the beginning, I'll say it again. A great platform. Anybody who's looking to help service members do anything, post-career, pre-career, doing career is always an essential need, and there should be some that is applauded from over the stage. So I will say, and I'm gonna say it now on this video because I'm gonna put it out there, I'm gonna manifest it into fruition. Y'all definitely need to go get y'all a radio broadcast and air this thing out even more, okay? Radio broadcast, okay? So if I can have a hand in that, put it in the books. I'm the one who said it.
Oh yeah, man. We could definitely use all the help we could get. But it's not just us that needs the help. It's our listeners that are seeking people's experiences. And you know what it is, man? You ever try to do something like, man, I'm gonna look up YouTube. Man, I just try to like replace a filter on my lawnmower. I'm like, okay, YouTube. Okay, maybe not that bad, but you know what I'm saying. Like every time I'm about to do something, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go lay some pavers to make a nice nice sitting area, and I'm gonna build a retaining wall. I'm obviously gonna watch YouTube, a couple of different videos of how people have done it. I'm gonna go on Pinterest, I'm gonna learn, and I'm gonna kind of figure it out, and then I'm gonna go do it. You know, my wife and I are gonna go out there. We're gonna do it together.
Gonna get it done.
Obviously, we're gonna find other people that have done it. You know, so just it's so powerful to have a resource like this, man. And your story, and it's unique, and it's also very scarily similar to my story, bro.
Don't let nobody fool you. Every chief, most likely, who's retired from the military in post 2020 is going to be in real estate. Okay.
Man, it seems that way, and brother, like seriously, from being a CS to getting your feet into real estate, into all the social media stuff that you've been doing. Yep, that's Benji. Benji says hi. I'm not sure if you heard him.
Oh, I did. But
thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for coming on here, and to everybody else that's out there. All right, it's your transition. It's not all rainbows and unicorns. It's your transition. Take charge of it. Return to Roots out.